Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox, and I'm absolutely thrilled today to be back with my good friend and colleague, Jag Lambda from Certa AI. Jag, first of all, welcome back for this incredibly topical, important, and forward looking series that we're going to do with Certa AI.
Thanks, Tom. Good to see you and good to be back.
Jag, could you remind our audience of your professional background and current role?
I am currently the CEO of Certa. Certa is a third party risk and compliance platform that's used by multiple Fortune 500 firms across multiple risk domains. Previously, I was a private equity investor, and previous to that, I was a consultant at McKinsey, but I started my career as an engineer and product manager.
And what's the role or what are the services and products of Certa AI?
So, Certa AI is a comprehensive platform to enable companies to manage risk and compliance of their third parties. So, what that means is all the compliance areas like anti corruption, anti bribery, AML, all the new forced labor regulations like the UFLPA, the German Supply Chain Act, and many of the ESG regulations that are coming up, CSRD, CSDDD, CBAM, etc. And also on the risk side, all the privacy policies and regulations and your information security. So we cover one platform to cover all of them. Now, the what's unique about Certa is that one, we do it in a way that's very intelligent. So we use AI heavily, but also good old decision logic, like very advanced decisioning logic built in. Secondly, we're very agile. So every large enterprise needs to personalize their program to the specific risks and compliance needs that they've prioritized. So we enable them to prioritize it based on not only the specific risk and compliance, but also their specific processes. And lastly, we are very like robust and scalable. So what that means is you can start small. You can start with one risk domain and then grow across multiple risk domains, multiple third party types. So not both on the sell side and the buy side. So both suppliers and, for example, sales intermediaries. And we've scaled up to millions of third parties. We're available in 53 languages. So it's a program, it's a platform that enables intelligence, agility, and personalization and scale, but it enables you to start small.
Every compliance program is charged with three general tasks: prevention, detection, and remediation. Or what did you do to find out about it? What did you do to prevent it? And what did you do after you found out about it? Most compliance programs feel like they have the second prong, the detection prong. At least they understand how to do it. But many companies still struggle with moving to the true proactive, the true preventative. Why do you see, or how do you see the use of AI as moving us to that preventative prong in third party risk management? And why is AI so uniquely situated that can help the compliance professional or the corporation manage their third party risk?
So thanks, Tom. The working across companies that's working with third parties is mainly an unstructured data problem, right? Because when you work across companies, there's no one system that you have agreement on how to exchange it. And that's why there's so many of these questionnaires that people need to fill out, right? And analyze because of the unstructured and somewhat messy nature of working with third parties. This is what makes generative AI the perfect fit. So before generative AI, the only technology available to us was retrieval and save, right? You can save the data in a database. You can do some computation on structured data, and then you can retrieve it. And that was it. And that's why I think a lot of programs are fairly overwhelmed. And a lot of the compliance officers and risk subject matter experts are fairly overwhelmed. It's just because of the volume of data and the unstructured nature of this data. So, what generative AI for the first time enables us to do is it's a technology that is designed to work in the natural environment with natural language. So, it's really comfortable with documents, with just like long form text, of course, with policies and contracts, etc. And for the first time, we have a technology that can work at scale, that can reason and understand a long form content, convert some of that into structured data so you can actually still run business rules, but also run analysis on just on unstructured data, on contracts, on policies, on PDF reports. So it for the first time, we have a way which I think can do away with questionnaire fatigue that all of us in third party space suffer from, right? It can make the risk subject matter experts and the compliance officers less overwhelmed. They've been overwhelmed for like, I think, at least a decade now. Mm. And for the first time, it can actually help us get or help compliance officers get their arms around not just new third parties and analyzing them and detection, prevention, and mitigation, but also apply the same to your existing third party base because that's generative AI can run your same playbook on existing vendors just as well as it can actually do on new vendors because or new third parties. So it's to me, I've never been more excited about a platform and a new sort of tectonic shift in a technology platform that because of the ability and the amount it can help our users.
For those who have not seen or heard Jag before, I've had the privilege to interview him several times, I think starting in 2018. And for him to say this is the most excited he's been, ladies and gentlemen, that means something because he's been excited for a long time when it comes to third party risk management. And so I'm particularly intrigued with your academic and early professional background as an engineer. How do you explain that when you sit across the table from someone like myself who's professionally trained as a lawyer, moved to the compliance chair, to the CCO chair, from the GC chair? How do you help them to understand what these innovations mean? And equally importantly, how they can be utilized in their compliance program? Or do you just sit across from the CISO or the CTO? How do you educate the legal based compliance professional, Jag?
Yeah. The one way to think about, I'll speak first, about sort of generative AI and then how do you operationalize it? And the way you operationalize it, in short, is through great, flexible, robust software. Why would you, why would you sort of try to operationalize something? And what is the driver here? So in terms of why should a compliance officer care? The main thing that I'm like super excited about, and also I think it can dramatically help our users, is we have a technology now that's testing, the latest model is testing at 120 level, at 120 points. So what that means is compliance officers can put really smart AI agents as co-pilots initially, and then eventually as agents. So these bots who are who are more intelligent now than an average human, right? And not only are they intelligent, but they can reason and problem solve as they're looking through documents, for example, and they can create. So you can create unstructured data or structured data, right? So these are the ingredients that we have working, that we have to work, we have at our disposal now, right? Now, the way compliance officers can start using them is initially as co-pilots. So making your teams much more productive. So by co-pilots, I mean as helpers. Within the next year or two, we would be able to apply the same technology as agents, which is analogous to co-workers. So they would be able to complete reasonably complex tasks fairly independently. Of course, with all the audit trail, with the complete steps, with tracking, just like a human would. That's what's very exciting to me about this technology is that compliance officers can have the highly intelligent bots with the ability to reason and generate, which is hence the name generative AI. And compliance officers can use these as helpers and make their teams up to 50% more productive. And I'll give you some data on that. And with the next, if you will, version of this technology as independent agents, I mean, it's unlimited potential because if we can prove and if we can sort of make them operational as independent agents, then you can grow your teams by 10x, grow your impact by 10x. And you can do all the actions that you needed in detection, prevention, mitigation, right? At scale using these agents. Let me give you some data, right? So this is a recent University of Pennsylvania study and in collaboration with OpenAI, and University of Pennsylvania is my alma mater. So I'm excited to see studies from there always. So just using LLMs, which is the underlying technology behind generative AI, using LLMs, we can, the number of tasks that a function can automate, typically a compliance function or procurement function can automate, is up to 15%. Yeah, that's pretty substantial, but that's okay. But if the function uses great software and generative AI baked in, they're able to automate up to 47 to 56% of their tasks. That's huge, right? That's like doubling your team. It's incredible. So I this is the first time that I think that a technology with 50% efficiency, even in the current state, we're not even talking about future state agents, coworkers, right? In the current state, you can actually boost your productivity by 50%, right? 47 to 56%. And the reason why it's important, and we can sort of get into that, but you can see, Tom, why I'm so excited, right? I mean, if my clients can improve their productivity by 50%, yeah, it's huge. Like today, you can do that today. So yeah, happy to go into a little bit more about how do you operationalize it using great software, etc. But that's hopefully that helps me communicate my engineer enthusiasm into business results for a compliance officer or for a lawyer.
How do we
Oh,
move then
yeah.
directly to the operationalizing of AI into the overall business process?
What we need is for the AI to work well with your existing processes, with your existing people, and your existing systems, right? And for the AI to integrate well into your existing ecosystem, you need great software, right? So I think it's very hard to operationalize it without great software. So when you're basically looking at great software, you want something that's flexible and something that's scalable. So by flexible, it can adopt to your processes, and scalable, it can adopt to it can basically scale up to the volumes that you have. I think there are two other very important elements to great software to help, especially in the third party compliance space. It's guardrails. So you can't, it's still relatively new technology, like similar to a new coworker. You can't give them sort of carte blanche, right? Do whatever you want. Like you put guardrails and you put checks around it, right? So all the checks and guardrails, a great software will enable you to maintain even in the current state, which is co-pilot stage, but in the next stage, even more important, right? And then audit trail. So just like a great coworker in your function, you want a detailed audit trail of everything that was done. Right? That's how you satisfy regulators. And generative AI is incredible at step-by-step documenting and creating all the citations and references for why they took a decision. And in the current state, we're still in the co-pilot stage. We're still, humans are still making the decisions, right? It's just the technology is making the humans more productive by doing the what we call the L1 analysis, like the level one analysis. So, I mean, I think those are the sort of the core ingredients of a great software to make it easier for companies to adopt this game changing technology.
And let me just move then to the phrase I've heard from AI practitioners, the human in the loop.
Yes.
You talked about the L1 as the learning at the first level or level one learning. How do you see the role of the human in the loop evolving? Will we need to become better as compliance professionals, or will the AI identify potential anomalies for us and either allow us to do additional research, investigation, or review, or will it point us in the direction we need to look?
Yeah. The human in the loop, I think, will always be a critical factor for compliance programs and risk programs. Yeah. So the way the just the amount of task and the amount of autonomy, if you will, that you want to give to I think will increase naturally as humans get more confidence in what the AI can deliver. Yeah, so it's sort of these will have to go together. So today, what we see companies utilize AI for is when I say L1 analysis, it's basically L1 analysis of the data. So what we find is that the first layer of analysis, which typically you would use an analyst in if this was a human doing it. So we an analyst doing this. And what they're looking for is if they're looking at a report, okay, identify, I'm going to give you what do risks mean to us. I'm going to give this technology and feed in the prompts and in training data. This is what risks mean to us. And then AI is able to go across, you know, all the different documents that the company and the third party has submitted to you and look through all those documents. It could be policies, it could be sort of reports, it could be other documentation, certificate of insurance, backgrounds, etc. And they look through all that and identify risks based on your guidelines. It can also then crawl the website of the company and potentially even other trusted data sources online to do automatic sort of due diligence and even data gathering for you. So it dramatically eases the burden because for the assessor, because the risk assessor is looking at things that are being presented to them in a great manner. And then everything has citations to the particular documents, to the specific place in the documents, and everything has citations to the websites, et cetera, wherever you're coming from. So that is a huge sort of productivity boost for compliance teams. And currently it's mainly driven by humans, right? I mean, it's copilots are helpers to humans. But even in the next phase, I think human in the loop will be super critical because what you're doing in the next phase, or what we will do in the next phase, is AI will do a lot of the checks independently, and maybe even some assessments independently, potentially, right? And as you get more confidence in those, then what humans can do is look at aggregated reports across multiple third parties, say, okay, what did AI do? Can I just see? Okay, it's just similar to what a senior manager would do for their team. Show me the reports. And then the human can then dive into some of the data that seems like an anomaly, or just to verify that the AI or the human is doing a great task. And one way to sort of gain more confidence in doing this is to use the AI uh, with a human team and seeing if the AI results are worse or better than the human team, right? Again, we're talking about 2 years from now. Today, the human in the loop has a much bigger role because humans are making the decisions. I think in a year or two, some of these analyst roles, I think, will start getting complemented by AI.
Jag, that seems like the perfect place to end this podcast. Before we leave, I did want to ask you if our listeners wanted to connect with you or find out more about Certa AI, what might be the best place or places for them to go?
The best place is Certa.ai, right? Obviously, for listeners of the Tom Fox podcast, you can have my personal email address. It's JAG, so like short for Jaguar. My full name is Jagmeet, but short, so Jag at Certa.ai. And happy to, of course, go into our specific software and AI products that can help the co-pilots today and get you ready for the agentic world uh, in a few years.
Jag, thanks so much, and I look forward to continuing this conversation.
Thanks, Tom.